What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna be ranking my sophomore year classes. I'm actually now a senior at UCLA, but I made a video where I ranked my freshman year classes and I never got around to finishing up for sophomore and junior year. Now a lot happened these last 2 years, so I'm gonna take them one year at a time. We're gonna start with year number 2. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's a tier list from freshman year. At the bottom, we have all of my sophomore year classes here. I only took 9 classes that year. Right, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 9 classes, 3 per quarter. So let's go ahead and start with the fall. So I started with LS7C, which is basically physiology. It's the last class in our bio series. This was definitely my favorite biology class content-wise. I enjoyed learning about the human body, the human body systems. As it is with a lot of the LS series classes, I just felt the tests were just a tad bit excessive. They were all online, but I feel like they were written honestly kind of poorly. But I can't complain about this class so much. Really enjoy the professor. She was very involved and very good at teaching, and I have to give her that. This quarter is also the quarter where our TAs went on strike though. That caused a pretty big problem for all of us, and that made the end of the quarter really stressful. But I ended up doing well anyway. And I did enjoy learning the content. I did enjoy my professor as well. So I'll give 7C a solid A tier. I'll put it above LS7B because I did enjoy the content more. All right, Chem 14BL. This is our general chemistry lab. My first lab class, actually not my first lab class. My first one was this MCDB course, but this is my first chem lab at UCLA. I think it was 3 hours a week. Once a week. It wasn't too bad in hindsight. At the time, it felt like a lot of work, but it really wasn't. Compared to the things I'd be doing later, it was really pretty slight. Our TA was actually really involved with the strike. The professor still forced him to show up to our period. And he was honestly really chill with everything. He was a really cool guy all in all. He really accommodated even though he was heavily involved in striking. I really appreciate that. We did this class in partners. I remember me and my partner were the only 2 guys in the class. We were the slowest at all the experiments as well, which is kind of funny. I'll put it at probably the top of B tier here. Stats 10, very easy class overall. The teacher was really cool, really relaxed, told us everything that we actually needed to know, nothing more, nothing less. Very straightforward. And again, with the strike, he actually decided that our final would be a no harm final. So if you didn't want to take it, you didn't have to. It wouldn't lower your grade, you could only raise your grade. So I went into finals with an A, so I didn't even take that final. It made things a lot easier for me. I will put that in A tier as well. Probably at the top of A tier, because I actually do enjoy learning about stats as a topic, as a subject. I use it now, even in some of the research I've been doing. And he was a great teacher. My teaching assistant was great as well. Even the coding was pretty interesting and pretty easy. So honestly, I'm gonna put that in A tier. All right, going into winter, it's always the most depressing quarter, it seems. This winter, I was pretty spooked by having to take organic chemistry for the first time, which is Chem 14C. We also had a fairly new teacher. I think she'd only taught for maybe a quarter or 2, and she didn't have the best reputation. So I went into this class very prepared to struggle. But honestly, I didn't really have too much problems. I didn't really have too many problems with this class. I thought everything was pretty straightforward. I feel like it was one of the first things in college that was totally brand new to me. I'd done a lot of chemistry and a lot of the bio in high school, but organic chemistry we never really touched before, so it was kind of interesting to see it for the first time. I'll put it in B tier. I'll put it in the B tier as well. I definitely liked it more than 14A, which is just general chemistry, but I don't think I liked it quite enough to be in A tier. LS23L is our biology lab. A very easy class, just a lot of busy work, very straightforward, very interactive as well. I don't like how the LS life science courses tend to really monitor you, really hold your hand. I feel like it's a bit excessive how much they try to make you into a good student, if you kind of get what I mean. They really force you to do a lot of learning exercises and teamwork building and just a lot of stuff that I was kind of getting fatigued of. But the class was easy nonetheless. I did find it actually pretty boring, especially after taking this molecular biolab course my freshman year. I found 23L to be pretty boring. So I'll definitely put it at towards the end, but I still liked it than some of these other classes. Actually, yeah, I'll put it in B tier, below 14C, but above Chem 14A. And then my last class that quarter, I wanted to take a GE, and I needed a philosophy GE, so I decided to take philosophy 3. This class, we read The Republic by Plato. This class was interesting, probably the most out there class I've taken in my entire time, the most different class I've taken in my entire time at UCLA, because I'm just not in the philosophy or the humanities space too often. I was sleeping in that class almost every single lecture. Combination of the professor and what we were actually talking about, basically arguing about what I don't even remember, honestly. I can't even tell you what we did in that class, but I'll put that in the C tier. It was a philosophy class and we didn't even do much talking. We kind of just sat there and listened to the professor lecture about who knows what. And then we had to write a few essays. I feel like it was a missed opportunity. We could have been engaging with each other, but we barely ever talked to each other in class. So we put that in C tier. All in all, winter was actually pretty slight. I wish I took on more that quarter because those 3 classes ended up being really easy for me. But the spring definitely ramped it up. I'll start with the easiest class in the spring quarter, which was a writing course that I took for my writing credit, English 4W. We would read poetry and write analytical essays on them. And he was really cool. He was really accommodating. Yeah, this was low key. It was really chill. I will put it in A tier. He was a great teacher. Small classes are always a bit more fun. And I enjoyed writing some of those essays. Now, Chem 14D is the second part of organic chemistry. I would say I had a better teacher, but the content, just the things we had to do was so much more. This class was all about memorizing reactions and mechanisms. It was just so much to kind of follow and keep in your mind and reproduce on a test. By the end of it, it became fun, kind of like a challenge or a game, but for the first 9 out of 10 weeks, it was a real grind. So I did enjoy it though, a lot more than general chemistry. It was just a lot more challenging than all the other chemistries I had taken. So I'll put it in B tier. Actually, I think I'll put it at the bottom of A tier because while the class was difficult, the teacher was really solid and honestly pretty entertaining to me at some points. I had a good group of friends in that class as well that made it very bearable. So I think I'll put it in A tier. And then finally, my last class I'll be talking about for sophomore year was physics. It's the first time I've taken physics since high school. Physics has always been my least favorite science. I've been consistently some of the hardest classes to just enroll into at UCLA. So this quarter was actually the quarter I decided I was going to switch my major from neuroscience to PHI-Sci, physiological sciences. One of the reasons I made that switch was actually because I wasn't meeting the physics class requirements in time to start the neuroscience classes my 3rd year. PHI-Sci was just a class more lenient. So I decided to make the switch and I got into physics 5A and it was kind of perfect timing at this point. I also made the switch because I was more interested in learning about the rest of the body. Besides that, this class was just a pain the whole time through. Physics is just such a hard subject, or it was such a hard subject for me to grasp at the time. And my teacher wasn't really anything great. He told us in the first day or the first week that people will fail and people are not going to enjoy it. That didn't really put anybody's hopes up. We did have like cheat sheets and stuff for our final exam, so by the end of it, it wasn't anything too crazy, but definitely not a class I enjoyed, not at all. Definitely would not want to ever take that again. So in the D tier you go. Still not as bad as Chem 14B, but not as good as anything else. And with that, that's my list. Sophomore year, I definitely hit my stride. I definitely kind of knew what I was doing, what I needed to be doing to get to where I want to go. None of the classes I would say were that amazing. None that can get into the S tier. Although I did really enjoy stats, LS7C, English class, and then Chem 14D. Most classes I took were somewhere in this B to C range, and then physics, if you know me, it should not be a surprise that it's down in the D tier. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Be on the lookout for my junior year, because yeah, junior year was quite the year in the classroom. We can talk about that when we get there. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later.